Welcome back to my Tetris-Like tutorial. Okay, so the first thing I wanted to go over was debugging from VS Code. That was something I figured out this weekend, and I wanted to bring it to people's attention because it kind of makes things a little bit easier. So first thing, I found this setting up Visual Studio Code for Unreal Engine guide. I don't think it matters which level the documentation is at. But it basically goes through talking about how to set up VS Code and how to set up debugging, more importantly. This will allow things like breakpoints, something that I didn't think was possible, but apparently it is. So, the first thing you need is the compiler tool set. I think that's probably the only thing you really need. I did go through these other tools, but some of it was like for IntelliSense and stuff, and then when I regenerated project files, it like overwrote some of those changes anyway, because it was having me make changes to this C++ underscore properties, and it had me put a new path in here, I believe is what it was doing. But later it just seemed to disappear, so it didn't really change anything for me. IntelliSense has been working well enough as far as I'm concerned, so I wasn't too concerned about that. But after I installed the compiling tools, there were a couple other things that I needed to do, and namely, I had to go in here, and when I hit Control Shift B to build it, I switched this over to Win64 debug game build. I don't even think I need to do this. I mean, I guess it helps if you want to build without launching the editor. But the important thing seemed to be to go down here to run and debug, and then I changed it here to TetraCube editor debug game. Launch the editor, not like the game itself or anything like that. So launch your game name editor debug game workspace. And so now when I hit start debugging, it's gonna compile everything and then launch the editor in debug mode. So if I put breakpoints in here while running the game, in theory, I haven't tested this, but in theory, it should hit the breakpoints and allow me to do some like more in-depth debugging. So yeah, over here you'll see that we're in debug mode. So a little tip, as I learn more, I'll drop it in here, but that was something that I figured out. The other thing is that once you do that, you can probably turn off live coding. Maybe that's in editor preferences. Yeah, there it is. Enable live coding. So I turned that off. I went through and made a couple other changes in here, like the asset editor open location. I made it the main window, so it would stop opening in a new window every time, and then I'd have to like dock it to get it out of my face. So I encourage you to look through project settings and editor preferences and see if there's anything that can make your life easier or less annoying. All right, so back to some actual coding. All right, so I wanted to go in here and create a new C++ class. This one's going to be an actual pawn. And next, I called this player board. Player board. Made it public. I wonder if I should put it in like a better folder or something. I mean, the C++ classes don't get moved around too much, so I don't know. But if you want to create a new folder, you pretty much want to do it from here, or else it can wreak havoc, and I've had some issues with it in the past. But yeah, make sure that you create the folder here by going /some folder, and it should create it. But since I turned off automatically compile new C++ classes, I think it's going to ask me every time. Yeah, so it wants me to edit the code now. Yeah, let's hit yes to that. Close the editor. All right. And for some reason, it opens up like a new command window every single time. I really don't know why, but whatever. So we got player board. Oh, and another cool tip I picked up this weekend is hitting Alt-O will take you to the header file, or if you're in the header file, it will take you to the C++ file. So I found that to be quite useful. All right, so now we're going to copy things over from Cubomino. I probably won't copy all of it over yet, just kind of what we need. So player board.cpp. All right, so we want blocks in play. We're going to want the constructor. We're going to want the queue. Might as well make the hold. Tetramino base. Oh, that's the Tetramino in play. Yeah, we're going to need that. We'll leave off the active slice. Actually, no, we'll probably want those ASAP. Time remaining. Yeah, let's bring that stuff over. Oh, and then the enum, I should probably create that as well. So then we're going to need the collision, left collision, right collision, yeah, bottom. Raycast collider. Oh, that's right. That's the back plate to prevent that's to like get the hit under cursor even when I'm not actually like clicking on something that's visible. So I do want that. Then I want mesh. Now I've been considering about making the size of the board configurable. 10 by 10 seems to be like too much. In all my playtesting, it's not like particularly fun. So I might turn this into an array of static meshes and then change the size of the board and construct it in real time with like a board block or something. But for that, we're probably going to need a T subclass of, well, no, we could probably just do an array of meshes. All right, and then what else we need? We need spawn, the top center, hold location, middle cube. And we need all these T subclasses of each of the tetraminos. We'll leave off the line scanner. Okay, so I think I'm safe to start moving some of this stuff over. All right, so we'll copy this. Let's move our forward declarations up here. So that they're all in one place. Begin play is protected, so we can delete this. Don't need Yeah, we don't need that. Set up player input component. I kind of forgot about that one. All right, let's go back over here. And then over here, I wanted everything except for the board status. We'll take care of that later. I'll have to create the enum for that. All right, so we can probably start creating the definitions for these. Oh, I forgot it doesn't like to do that with constructors. All right, we'll just do it manually then. Oh, I alt-tabbed. And let's head back to playerboard.cpp. I don't even remember if we need tick. We probably do. All right, so let's grab our constructor from old Cubomino. Up to the top. Okay, so we are ticking here. We grabbed the board mesh, right? Board mesh. You know what I should probably do is get all this moved over and then I'll walk through it once I'm finished. You don't have to watch me waffling back and forth about all this shit. All right, we're back. Okay, so some of the things that I had done differently before was I didn't have all these forward declarations. I like sometimes did it and sometimes didn't. So I put all those in there, and now all my includes are just on the player board itself. So I'm only using the header files that I need when I need them. The other thing is I went through a lot of this code is, I mean, actually it's all exactly the same as the previous Cubomino project. But I went through, I took the mesh, set it as the root component, and then I set up all of my colliders with their box extent. I attached them to the root, and then I set the relative location to put them into place. And I gave them text with the text macro when I'm actually creating the default subobject. So I went through that and did that with the mesh, left collision, right collision, bottom, top, the raycast collider, the camera, and then the tetramino spawn, the top center, the hold location, and the middle cube. So all of these are the default values that should show up when I create the blueprint. All right, so I already built it once, but let's build it again, make sure that it's gonna compile. All right, and then let's launch the editor. Oh, I just need to hit this. Already set that up. Okay, so this may take a minute. I'll be right back. All right, we're back in the editor. So let's go to our C++ classes. I probably should have put these in a file system. Maybe you were more organized than I was, but this is a smaller project, so it's not like that huge of a deal. But we're going to create a blueprint class based on the player board, C++. I'm just going to call it BP player board. Stick it in blueprints and actors. Yeah, sure. I don't know why I opened the content browser. All right, so we got player board itself. So for the mesh, let's, what was it called? Board mesh. You know what? Let's Let's open the content drawer. Meshes, active slice. It's got exported differently. Can't I change the rotation on it? Just the scale? Well, let me look at this. Okay, that took care of it. So last time when I imported it, I said force X forward, and that apparently turned it. So I just unchecked that and re-imported, and then it seemed to work. All right, so gray. No, I don't think that's the one I used. I think I used clear coat. Clear coat black. Yeah, that's what I used. At least I think so. All right, fantastic. All right, let's look at the camera, make sure it's in the right place. Seems correct. Now the middle of the cube be fine. The hold location off to the right. Top center where they spawn in. Where they spawn in for the cue. We already checked the camera. The raycast collider is this thing. For that thing, I want to change the collision though. Collision presets, we'll call it custom. Generate, it doesn't need overlap events. We'll ignore everything except for visibility. And we'll call you world static. File, all right, that should take care of that. All right, and then the actual collisions for these. We'll set it to custom. We'll ignore everything, but we'll overlap world dynamic is upon. Okay, that's good. I think that's how I want all my collisions around here set up. I'm going to go through and do that for the rest of them, and I'll be right back. All right, and while I was at it, I went into my BP block base, and I set up the collision here. So, I mean, this doesn't really matter to me, but whatever. We want to generate overlap events. I set it to custom. It stayed at world dynamic, which I think it defaulted to, or maybe I set it to at some point. And then I just told it to ignore everything except for world static and pawn. All right, so the last thing to do, let's go through these. We don't need the tetraminos anymore. Delete them. Or content drawer, actors, BP player board. And for now, we'll stick it at 000. Oh, and let's set it up to auto possess. Where is that? Oh, wait, we have a game mode, don't we? Game mode override. We want the pawn to be BP underscore player board. Now when we hit play, we should possess this thing. And indeed we did. We still have our UI. Excellent. All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one.